them to see re-sign Jalen Phillips. They traded for him from Miami. He was very productive, a lot younger than Max Crosby. Max Crosby's a great player, but keep your own.
Tim Hasselbeck, if you put Max Crosby on the Eagles, turn out the lights. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Crosby makes any team better. He's so good. I mean, just, I think the question ends up being here, because there probably are multiple suitors in the trade, market for him, his desire potentially to leave Las Vegas. It's just going to be who can really absorb probably the cost that it's going to take to end up acquiring him.
I wouldn't put anything past Howie Roseman. Nope. I like that one a lot. All right, let's go on to the Giants. Mike T, first year under the new head coach, John Harbaugh. Give me a move you want to see them make.
Jeremiah Love, running back, Notre Dame. Draft him at number 5. You want to establish a culture of toughness and explosiveness right here. Maybe the best player in the draft. 42 career touchdowns, rushing and receiving Greeny. I'd say this, Jackson Dart will be a better quarterback if he has a running back like this.
Yes, talk to me here about this one, Hasselbeck. You put Jeremiah Love on any team. He is so spectacular, but with the young quarterback, talk to me.
Yeah, I do think the best way you can help a quarterback is by getting him production, out of the running back position. That position can touch the ball more than any other position outside of quarterback. And so the influence a young player, a first-year player, can have on your offense at the running back position is far greater than any other position that you can add. So I like where Mike's head is at with that. I would say this. I also don't hate the idea of drafting an offensive tackle, in the draft either very high, just because I think either one is helpful. I don't disagree with Mike, though, in terms of, the impact that a running back who's going to touch the ball 20 times potentially a game, how that can help your quarterback.
Love is also good enough to be a receiver, so he could help you a lot of ways. There are 2 tackles who are going to go high, Monroe Fielding and CeCe Mauigoa. That might be too high for either of them. What was the sense you got at the Combine about just how high Jeremiah Love might go? He's so spectacular.
He is. And, look, you hear everything. You hear, like, Arizona at 3. It doesn't seem realistic. But, taking a running back in the top 5, it just very rarely works out from a value perspective. You got to be ready to go, and I'm not sure maybe by the time they get to the draft, if they built out the offensive line, maybe they feel better about it, but I'm not sure the Giants are in that position.
Or maybe they're next year's Patriots. We're going to find out. Maybe. Let's go to the Commanders next. Jaden Daniels, they took that major step here with Jaden Daniels making that run a couple of years ago. Tim, what is the move you'd like to see for them?
Rashid Shaheed, who ended up with the Seattle Seahawks this year after being traded from New Orleans. I think he's one of the most undervalued players in the National Football League. He's one of the fastest players in the league. He helps you in the return game. And when you look at the Commanders at the receiver position, Terry McLaurin, who they signed to a big deal, is older. Deebo Samuel can't run the way he once did. And so I think Shaheed, who I believe is undervalued, could make them one of the better wide receivers, in the league, which would certainly help Jaden Daniels, who's coming off of a disappointing year.
Absolutely. I mean, the acquisition of Shaheed, particularly also in the return game, was an enormous one for the now defending Super Bowl champion Seahawks. And then finally, let's get to the Cowboys. Graziano, I smile and I turn to you. What is the move the Dallas Cowboys can make to put themselves where we know we want them?
The answer is Max Crosby, but I already gave him to the Eagles. Okay. So let's give the Cowboys Trey Hendrickson. They need an impact edge rusher, obviously to replace Micah Parsons, who they traded away last summer. Hendrickson would be an uncharacteristic move for Dallas because he's an older free agent. They tend to like younger ones they can get on longer-term deals. But if you're doing well elsewhere, if you're getting your cornerback and your linebacker and you're putting your defense back together and the edge rush position is eluding you, maybe a short-term deal for a 31-year-old Trey Hendrickson makes sense.
Here's what I like about it, because everyone is talking about Max Crosby. Max Crosby is much more expensive beyond the money. He costs you the picks, but you have to trade for Max Crosby.
They have the picks.
But they have the picks, but they need so much on defense. So hold on to your picks. What's the expression? Keep your powder dry, whatever the term is. Keep your powder dry. Use those draft picks to address the other 2 levels of your defense, and go sign Trey Hendrickson. He may not be as good as Max Crosby, but he is exactly what they need.
I totally agree, Greeny. And now all of a sudden you have Donovan Ezeraku from last year. You have Kenny Clark. You have Quinnen Williams. Now you're over the hump from the Micah Parsons trade. And to your point, now you draft a linebacker, maybe it's Mansour Delane, the best corner if he's there. So absolutely. And going back to what Bill Walsh always said, right? Score through the passing game, and then you need fourth quarter pass rushers. Certainly Trey Hendrickson fits that.
Yeah, it would be nice for him to get that opportunity. Tim, how about it? Do you see that? I've got a lot of people telling me they think the Cowboys are just a few good moves this offseason away from really putting themselves in a position next year. How do you see them?
Yeah, I would agree, Greeny, and I think your point on, the difference between Crosby and Hendrickson, the cost to acquire each one is drastically different. And, outside of last year being a bad year for Hendrickson, he's actually been as good as any pass rusher, over the last 7 years in the National Football League. Like, that's how good Trey Hendrickson has been. So there's an element of, because of all that Dallas probably needs on the defensive side of the ball, if you can beat the market with a player like Hendrickson, because quite frankly, the deal, unless a team like, the Colts or somebody super involved in him as well, I think then you can end up spending money elsewhere to help improve you.
At an overreaction.
It's not an overreaction. It's an overreaction. You guys make me do this every time I'm on the show. But he's not getting younger. We're still in a situation where the last couple teams he's been to, the coach that was there when he got there was gone soon after. I don't see why you would do this if you're the Steelers. It seems like they want to. I certainly don't see why you would wait and bring in to the possibility that he might tell you he's retiring anyway.
Yeah, and he said they haven't even offered him a contract yet. He may have better options. We'll see. The next one requires a setup. DeAndre Hopkins is fascinated by the idea of Kyler Murray going to the Vikings. You see, he tweeted, K1 and JJ would be scary. So I'll ask you this. If Kyler Murray goes to the Vikings, that would make them Super Bowl contenders. Would that be an overreaction?
It's not, because if the Vikings get competent quarterback play, they're going to be in this mix. 2 years ago, they won 14 games with Sam Darnold at quarterback. Last year, they managed to win 9 with pretty much nothing at quarterback, like actively detrimental quarterback play. So if they get decent quarterback play, the Vikings and with Kevin O'Connell have shown us they'll be a high-level contender.
All right, then the last one. Let's talk about the Patriots, who made the Super Bowl last year. Someone said they will repeat as AFC champions if they acquire A.J. Brown. Is that an overreaction?
It's an overreaction because the Patriots are, and they all hate this, but they're not going to play the same schedule they played this year. And I don't think it's going to be as easy for the Patriots in 2026 as it was in 2025. They could be the classic team that's better than last year but has a worse record because of the fact that, everything that broke their way in terms of the quarterbacks they got to play against, et cetera. So I think A.J. Brown would be a big help to Drake May and the Patriots. I think it would keep them a strong contender, but I don't think we should assume they're going to repeat as AFC East champions because Buffalo will get better and New England won't have the same kind of year.
So as we approach these things with some urgency, because obviously free agency begins on Monday. Don't let them call it legal tampering. That's an oxymoron. Free agency begins on Monday for all intents and purposes. But an A.J. Brown trade would be for draft picks. So really the window on that goes all the way through to the start of the draft. Yes, teams would like to make a move. Well, you look like you're going to question that.
Well, it could go further than that. But right, if you want this year's picks, obviously, yes.
So one would assume if he's going to get traded, it doesn't have to be next week. It would just have to be by sometime in April. Tim Hasselbeck, let me put the question to you this way. A.J. Brown plus New England Patriots would equal what?
Makes them makes them way better, like way better. You just think about the receivers that they currently have. The 3 starting projecting receivers right now for New England all average less than 3 touchdown receptions per year throughout their careers. So adding someone like A.J. Brown, who is a true number 1, when we show the highlights, when we run this video, it's evident like how dominant he can be. It's an absolute need for New England. It fits in terms of the personality and management of A.J. Brown because Mike Vrabel has a history with him, the respect, probably mutual respect that they have for one another. And so it feels like if Philadelphia is moving on from him, which is not talent-based whatsoever, that New England is the most logical fit in terms of how much they probably value him and how much better he would make them in New England.
Here's the bottom line, though. Mike, you were a GM, which on some level is kind of like being a shopper, and this is an expensive price tag, right? It's going to cost a lot of picks, and he's an expensive player. How do you think they view it in New England?
Yeah, Grady, I got some context for you. Matt, can you roll some audio for me, please?
What?
Try to get focused. You know, I mean, if I shop at Neiman Marcus or Nordstrom or something, I've gotten to the point now in my life where if I want something, I can usually buy it. I don't, you know, I'm sure Richard Miller and Elliott and Matt Groh will work and do everything that they can to help us sign the players, with certain exceptions. You know, I haven't even gotten that far. If you like something, usually just try to buy it.
So I like that philosophy.
I've worked with a couple coaches just like that.
Yeah.
So A.J. Brown is going to the Patriots. We just don't know what the price is. In all seriousness, that is a head coach that knows we have a really good team. I drafted this player. He's exactly what we need. To Tim's point, we'll just pay the price. It's probably going to be a one something else. But he said that so matter of fact, there's no doubt to me he was trying to send a message.
So you were in Indy last week,
I was.
and all of you guys who were there came back with the same message, which is that the Eagles are holding fast to that they're not looking to move him and all that. You know, it feels like posturing to me. That's what I would say if I was planning on trading him, or at least open to trading him.
You want to make sure that everyone knows you don't have to.
Right.
Right? that otherwise you're giving away your leverage. And I do think on some level, like the Eagles feel like there's a price point below which we would not go. They don't feel like they have to get rid of him. He could be on the 2026 team. They've shown an ability to manage all the craziness and have high-level success. So they want a lot for him. The price that Buffalo paid yesterday for DJ Moore is not going to dissuade the Patriots from asking a lot for A.J. Brown, who's a better player than DJ Moore. So I think this could drag. And frankly, cap-wise, it would help the Eagles to wait until June to do a deal like that.
Joe.
The macro is about how many wins can he help provide? How deep can you go in the playoffs? The micro is the quarterback evaluation. When Drake May is playing the way he's played so far, at the price point he's playing at, you owe it to yourself to do everything you can to surround him with the best possible talent. Buffalo did that when they brought in Stephon Diggs. Miami did that for Tua when they brought in Tyreek Hill. You saw the same thing with Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia when they brought in A.J. Brown. Young quarterbacks with a lot of potential, give them the weapons they need to push it over the top, and then when they become expensive, you ask them to raise the level of the wide receiver play.
There is one very recent cautionary tale on this, and it is the Washington Commanders, who went further into the playoffs in 2024 than they had a right to expect, and then had this offseason, we're like, well, let's get Deebo Samuel, let's get these plug-and-play guys. We're right there on the cusp. It didn't work out. Patriots went a little deeper into the playoffs than I think their talent level indicated they should have. They need to remember where they are in their point and at this point in their development, and not just go out and grab the one missing piece.
But Greedy, just sitting in that seat and going back to what Coach Vrabel was alluding to, which is at 31, fill in the blank, Omar Cooper, Casey Concepcion, you're probably going to get a good receiver